Hey everyone and Happy New Year! Squid Game Season 2 is here, and with it brings a bunch of new characters, some good and some bad. Today we're talking about the most morally incorrect characters in Squid Game, and they're going to get progressively more evil as the video goes on. First up, I'm going to be talking about one of the most memorable characters from Season 2, Thanos. He basically provided all of the humour in Season 2. He was never taking anything seriously, and that was all thanks to these pills that he was taking throughout the season. Now, despite him being a fan favourite character, he was not a good person. He was killing others for his own gain, and sometimes not even for his own gain. He was just killing others for the sake of killing others. He should actually be a lot higher up on this list due to the fact that he was quite literally killing the other players for fun. The only thing that sort of saves him is the fact that he was clearly not in his right mind. You can see in one scene that he actually kills one of his friends, but he doesn't know what he's doing, and then immediately starts getting really annoyed at the others, thinking that they were the one that killed him, even though it was him.
경수, you out! Let's go!
His evil nature is mostly all due to the pills, although at the end of the day, he was the one that decided to take those pills, so we can't just forgive him for that. You can see that his friend also starts taking the pills in episode 4, and he then becomes just as crazy as Thanos. Next up, I'm going to be talking about Sang-woo. And I'm aware I'm about to get a million hate comments asking why Sang-woo isn't at the very top of this list. I'm aware of how unpopular he is amongst Squid Game fans. But here's the main two things that he does that everyone hates him for. He got Ali killed, and he also got Sae-byok killed. Now let's talk about Ali, possibly the saddest death in the entire show. Why did Sang-woo not let Ali live? And although I agree that Ali's death was so unfair, and I've cried at that scene so many times, imagine as if you're Sang-woo. He has known Ali for about 4 days. He's not going to give up his life for a stranger he's known less than a week. Although Ali did have more to live for and Sang-woo literally ends up killing himself anyway. From Sang-woo's point of view, he was just doing what he needed to survive, and he's one of the most realistic characters in the entire show. Him killing Sae-byok as well, as much as it probably wasn't the way she wanted to go, she would have died either way. She was bleeding out from her wounds. I don't think she even would have made it through the night. But if she had made it through the night, she would have died in the Squid Game anyway, because it was essentially just a fight to the death. She wasn't going to win that either way. However, Sang-woo didn't know this, okay? Sang-woo killed her with the idea that she could have possibly survived. So that makes him still pretty evil for that. He does eventually kill himself, though, to let his friend win. And the only condition he has is that he looks after his mum, which is pretty selfless.
내가 말하지 마. 우리 엄마.
Next up, I'm actually going to be putting every Squid Game guard. They kill a lot of people, a lot of innocent people, and they seem to have no remorse. I mean, in the first season, you actually see one of the characters has survived, and they just screw the coffin up anyway. And then a few of the guards actually take some of the players that have survived their attempted murder and then harvest their organs, which would be incredibly painful. Despite this, though, they are clearly being manipulated to some extent. We can see when they take off their masks that they are very, very, very young and do all live lives of their own. They're not just murdering machines. They are real people behind those masks. And I think that's why I'm putting them lower on than a few of the other people in this list. Next up, I have Deok-su. I do apologise if I'm pronouncing these names slightly wrong. Deok-su is bad, okay? I remember when Season 1 came out, everyone was going at Sang-woo being the worst player. I think Deok-su is so much worse than Sang-woo. He takes advantage of Sae-byok, if you know what I mean. Obviously, I can't say it here on YouTube.
I took care of you. I fed you. I taught you when you had nowhere else. This is what I get.
You took more from me than whatever I might possibly owe.
He kills players basically just for fun, to just increase his chances of winning, same way that Thanos did in Season 2, except Deok-su was completely aware of what he was doing and was enjoying it, okay? He would laugh whilst he was happening. The first guy he murdered literally just laughs to himself, finds out, hey, hold on, I can murder people, and the guards aren't going to do anything. And then that night, he goes and murders like 20 more people. He's just a horrible person overall. He takes advantage of everyone, including his own friends, who he uses until he no longer needs them and then lets them die. He isn't someone that you'd want to be hanging out with, is all I'm saying. Next up, we have Il-nam, player 001. This is one where, although I know that he's actually not dying, every single time I watch Season 1, Episode 6, I cry at his death. He is probably the biggest manipulator in the entire show. He lets player 456 win in marbles. He knows he's going to do that. I don't think he would have been willing to move on to the glass bridge. It just wouldn't have made sense, even if he knew the route to the end, given his brain brain condition, he probably wouldn't have been able to remember all the tiles to the end. So he wanted to go out in marbles, I believe, but he just sort of toyed with player 456 for pretty much no reason other than just to raise the stress, I guess. And of course, he was the one that actually allowed these games to happen. He was at the very top of the pyramid, and if it wasn't for him, none of these players would have died. So he is responsible for 455 deaths, in my opinion. Next up, though, we have the VIPs. Now, why are they higher than Ilnam? I mean, they were the ones watching it, right? I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. Well, there definitely is something wrong with that. The betting and watching, by the way, I think watching is just as bad, considering they know everything that's happening and they're just making joke and laughing at the whole situation.
What convinced you to bet so much on number 69?
Oh, it's such a beautiful number! 69!
And they're then betting on them, which is the reason why the games can keep going. Because the whole reason that these games are happening is to please the VIPs, okay? They are the reason that this is going on at all. And they don't see any of the players as human. They just see them as, in the front man's own words, horses.
잘 들어. 난 말이 아니야.
Which brings us to the number 1 spot for the worst human being in the Squid Game universe, and that is going to have to be the front man. Now, I know a lot of you are going to be saying that Ilnam is worse than the front man. I think the front man was the one that was responsible for all of this stuff. He killed his own guards in the first season, as well as obviously resulting in the deaths of all 455 players. I think he is more responsible than Ilnam, in fact, because he was the one that was actually telling the guards what to do. Although he didn't pull the trigger himself most of the time, he was responsible for that trigger being pulled. And then he, of course, shoots his own brother dead, which is just heartless. And in season 2, he actually joins the games as a player and intentionally sabotages everything. Keep in mind, if player 1 didn't join the game, they could have potentially gone home after the first game when they all voted whether they should leave or stay. He also intentionally messes up his team in the 6-legged race, which he's doing on purpose. As he brings up in season 1, he is actually left-handed. And we can see that he is intentionally using the right hand to do the spinning top until he's wasted enough time, and then he just gets it done with his left hand because why not? And then he even kills his own guards in order to keep his identity a secret, and then kills the players, so he's kind of against both sides. He basically just kills whoever he can and whoever he wants in order to keep his position and to keep his power. And I think that he is truly the worst character in all of Squid Game. If you enjoyed, make sure to like and subscribe. If you want me to make a part 2 to this, I will. There's loads of characters I didn't mention, like the recruiter, or the guy that drives the boat in season 2, or the doctor from the first season. There's loads of characters I could talk about. So if you want me to make a part 2, just comment down below. Have a good day and goodbye.